What is up, guys? I'm not exactly sure where I left off here, but right now we are going to be installing the heads on the short block. I already have the passenger head on. Well, the gasket's on, the head's on, so I need to install the bolts, torque them down, and then go to the other side, install the head, install the bolts, torque that down. Yeah, we already have a brand new gasket on right here. So next what I'm going to do is actually rotate this motor over a little bit to make it easier for me to work on. Right there. And like I said, there's already a brand new gasket on this motor. The head's already seated on the block. And now we're going to be installing our brand new bolts that I have right here. These are the head bolts right there. They're already pre-lubed, so I'm just going to thread them in, and then torque those down. Right there. So I have a brand new bolts, individually bagged because they came pre-lubed from the factory. And it's going to... There we go, 8 brand new head bolts. So now we are going to just thread these things down. Not thread them down, but tighten them. Make sure that they're actually threading in properly, because you do not want to mess the threads up at all on these bolts. That's for sure. Alright, and then once I do that, I'm just going to take my Milwaukee and buzz them down to right before they seat. So obviously not to where they're going to compress the actual head, because you need to make sure that these bolts are tightened in the proper torque sequence. It's extremely important for these head bolts. You want to make sure this gasket seats properly with the head and the block. I'm just going by hand right here, making sure that these bolts are going in properly. And now I'm just going to take my Milwaukee at the lowest possible setting, and then just kind of make it faster for me to put these things down. Okay. And again, I'm stopping before they seat because I'm going to go by hand the rest of the way down. I'm just tightening them down a little bit, so I'm not going by hand really slow. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to pull out my book so we can do the torque sequence for the head. So you might want to pause the video right here if you're following along. This is going to be the cylinder head bolt tightening sequence right here. Just like that. There you go. And then right here is I'm gonna show you guys the actual torque specifications. That's just the actual torque tightening sequence. Here's the torque specifications right here. Leave it a focus. Bam! Using the big one just to make it easier for me. Oh, and I gotta hold this. It's gonna be doing a little bit of angle zeroing. Doing the torque sequence for this vehicle is so much easier than working on the big old diesel motors, I gotta say. Working on that Detroit 14 liter. Man, the torque sequence for the head on that thing, a lot more difficult, a lot more bolts, and a lot higher torque. So this is a pretty big, it's pretty piece of cake. It's a piece of cake compared to those big motors. Those things suck. So I'm going to raise it up to 72 foot-pounds right now. So here's the motor right here, guys. Right now we're doing the passenger side head. So I'm going to put my book right beside me right here. Oh, I hit my head on the block. That was a sharp corner. Ugh, I may have just cut my head. That hurts. Okay. Damn, that felt good. Alright, guys. So, passenger side front, we're going to start off right here. And going down. Again, as you can see, that's what it sucked to have hand tightened that entire thing. So, I'm going to go slow. You want to make sure everything's getting torqued down properly. Oh, motor's moving. I'm going to put it against the wall right here. Come on. Alright. Putting it against the wall, bracing it because obviously this is an engine stand that moves. Go to 72 foot-pounds. And then now I'm just going to fast forward to the rest of the sequence. So we just tightened the bolts down to 72 foot-pounds, or if you're a 2007 and up model, to 77 foot-pounds. And our next step is going to be to loosen all the bolts in reverse order of the tightening sequence. So we're going to loosen the bolts, so instead of going from 1 to 8, we're going to go from 8 to 1. We're going to loosen those things up. So we just loosened all the bolts in the reverse order of the tightening sequence. Our next step is going to be to tighten the bolts to 30 foot-pounds in the tightening sequence. So we just tightened all the bolts to 30 foot-pounds. Our next step is going to be rotating the bolt an additional 90 degrees. So we just did the 30 foot-pounds. Now we got to go 90 degrees. So right now I'm going to go over to back to number 1 right here. And then I'm going to go to my angle. This is going to zero it out. This takes a moment. Alright, there we go. So now we are going to be tightening the bolts in the tightening sequence, the torque sequence, with 90 degrees. There we go. And I gotta say, guys, so we just torqued these all down an additional 90 degrees, but I gotta say, this Snap-on digital torque wrench right here is my favorite torque wrench I've ever used. I have it in a 1/2-inch drive, and I also have it in 3/8. And I gotta say, if you're going for a torque wrench, guys, I'd save the money and get one of these. These Snap-on torque wrenches are amazing. I just want to throw a shout out there because I love these things so much. They make my job so much easier. They work fantastically. And yeah, there's that. So here's the steps that we've done so far. We have tightened the head bolts to 72 foot-pounds. Then we loosened all the head bolts in the reverse order of the tightening sequence. Then we torqued them down to 30 foot-pounds. Then, just right now, we rotated an additional 90 degrees on that bolt. And for our final step, we're going to rotate one more 90 degrees. So, 72 foot-pounds, loosen, 30 foot-pounds, rotate 90 degrees, and then rotate 90 degrees, a total of 5 steps. So now we're going to rotate our final 90 degrees here, and then this cylinder head will be on the block properly. Alright guys, so this head is seated on the block. It is torqued down through all 5 steps. So this head is done. So now we're going to go to the other head and do the exact same thing. there was how to install your heads on your vehicle. Basically just get that torque sequence down, take care of that. In the next video I'll be installing the intake runner, the cams, basically the head assembly, and then once that's done, then we'll get to a video for the timing and taking care of that. Because knocking out timing, that's going to be a pretty complex one. But yeah guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have yourself a great day.